Wrong does not cease to be wrong because the majority share in it. Leo Tolstoy. We have been told that eating small, frequent meals is the best way to lose weight and that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But what if I told you that by ignoring this common knowledge and by stop eating for at least 16 hours or longer, you can actually derive some amazing health benefits? Scientific research has shown us that fasting can be incredibly healthy. In fact, this seems to be something almost every scientist can agree on. This video will cover 8 health benefits of fasting that are backed by science. Let's start with weight loss. Fasting is obviously a great tool for weight loss. Limiting the time food is consumed will usually also restrict calories. But it's not all about calories. Studies found that even when calories are equal, people on a time-restricted eating schedule tend to lose more body fat. And in contrast to normal calorie restriction, where the metabolism starts to slow down, prolonged fasting of up to 4 days seemed to boost the metabolism. A study found a 12% increase in resting metabolism already after 1 day of fasting. To add something on top, studies also found that a fast for 1 day quadrupled the concentration of the human growth hormone, which stimulates muscle building and fat burning. In fact, intermittent fasting seems to be a great tool for many athletes to shed off some extra body weight while maintaining lean muscle mass. Fasting can also boost your brain power. Our brains seem to run more efficient and are more resistant to disease when we fast occasionally. Studies in animals found that fasting increased the levels of the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, an important protein for brain health and memory, as it stimulates the formation of new brain cells and protects existing ones. As an example, mice that were fed a fasting mimicking diet for 4 days twice a month showed an enhanced cognitive performance and neurogenesis, which is a scientific term for new formation of brain cells. Studies also found that intermittent fasting prevents neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. There are not yet many studies on humans out yet. But for a mouse, fasting seems the way to go to grow a big brain and outsmart the littermates. For the potential mechanism behind it, Professor Mark Madsen explains it in his TED Talk like this.
Fasting is a challenge to your brain, and your brain responds to that challenge of not having food by activating adaptive stress response pathways that help your brain cope with stress and resist disease.
Imagine it like a workout for your brain, which will make it stronger and more resistant on the long run. Fasting is also a great tool to reset the immune system. A study found that prolonged fasting leads to stem cell self-renewal and could reverse immunosuppression. In another study, researchers followed 50 healthy volunteers through 3 weeks of intermittent fasting and measured their levels of inflammation before the intervention, after, and 1 month later as a follow-up. Most inflammatory markers the researchers looked at dropped by half or more during the intermittent fasting period, but went up again when intermittent fasting was stopped. This can have implications in people suffering from autoimmune diseases or allergies. Researchers also found that a fasting mimicking diet can modulate the microbiome and promotes healing in a mice model for inflammatory bowel disease. I have a separate video on how fasting influences the gut microbiome, so I suggest that you check it out for more details. If we look what fasting does on a cellular level, we see that it induces autophagy, which is a mechanism of our cells that clears up unnecessary or dysfunctional cellular components. So the stuff that accumulates in your cells and can eventually make you sick or even lead to cancer. Studies show that autophagy improves health span and promotes longevity. It is like recycling old stuff that was accumulating in your garage. Finally, the garage can be used again without danger and you got some extra building material. It is questionable whether fasting can be used to fight cancer, but the idea is to clean up precancerous cells, as those cells sometimes just need a little push to die and not turn into full-blown cancer cells. Heart diseases are the leading cause of death around the world, and there's a lot of confusion out there on what causes it and how to prevent it. However, a study from 2010 used alternate day fasting to reduce heart disease risk in obese men and women, and found that after 8 weeks, the blood triglyceride levels, which are highly associated with an increased risk for heart diseases, dropped by 32%. Intermittent fasting has also shown benefits when it comes down to blood sugar control and the treatment of type 2 diabetes. A small study found that an intermittent fasting protocol for 2 weeks improved fasting blood sugar in type 2 diabetics significantly. And a case study published by the group of Dr. Jason Fung shows how 3 patients with type 2 diabetes could reverse their insulin resistance and could stop their insulin therapy. Granted, these are small studies and should be generally performed with supervision, but the idea is to treat the insulin resistance by stop putting out more and more insulin. Okay, what about longevity? Is it worth to fast frequently if you want to live longer? Well, yes it is. Not just calorie restriction, which is an established way to make lab animals live longer, but also fasting can increase lifespan. That's it. These are the 8 scientifically proven health benefits of fasting. I want to add that fasting used to be a very common thing for our hunter-gatherer ancestors. They ate big meals whenever they had a good catch and fasted until the next one. This might be the reason why we gain so many health benefits from it, as it is ingrained in our DNA. Consider subscribing to help me bring out more content. And as always, thank you for watching.